All right, sounds to the crowd. 8:30, man, boys. Can you believe that it's already September? What in the world is going on?
I'm ready for 2020 to be over. What are you talking about, September?
September 1st is in a couple of days, and we are in a weird spot. We got baseball going. We have playoff basketball going. We have football that's about to start up. We have half of college planning on playing. Like, we're just in an incredible time to be alive, good and bad. You got to take the good with the bad, I guess. But there's a lot of – and we're just talking sports here, not to mention all the other shit that's happening. But, boys, how we doing?
The dream. Living the dream.
Yeah, same. I mean, playoff basketball, it's been fun so far. It feels like we're getting back to it. But this is a new normal.
It is. It is. Watching games literally all day long has not gotten old for me. Having a 12 o'clock tip-off. Oh, DB, how much have you loved that 12 o'clock tip-off?
Well, as someone who's been unemployed, the 12 o'clock tip-off has been real tasty. Unfortunately, tomorrow I got to start punching the time clock again, which is a good thing.
There we go.
Yeah, no, it's been nice to have a whole day of basketball. I'm not going to lie. Kind of feels like the start of March Madness almost, but it's every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, they play some kind of duds in the afternoon, right? Like Milwaukee's always going to win by 17 in that 12 o'clock game. But as the games go on, man, we've had some good ones. We just watched the Raptors and Celtics, which I know Raina had a hot take on the Celtics. What was that hot take there, Raina?
Oh, I told y'all the Celtics are coming, baby. Jason Tatum, man. I got my money on Jason Tatum.
Celtics money line. Raina hit that one this afternoon. Danny, what'd you put on this afternoon's game?
I hit the Clippers spread, but I lost. Yeah, I lost the over. But then what else hit?
Well,
we hit the under, the first half under on the Raptors Celtics. Although it came out of the gate.
Raptors Celtics.
Yeah, that first quarter they were raining threes at the last minute. And even Raina sent the text like, that's not looking too good right now.
Yeah, I think they put up how much they put up 40? 40 to 20 in the first quarter. So they put up 60. And the line was at like 107. You never want to see that. But they got cold in the second half. Raina called it with the Toronto defense.
Yeah, good game with Toronto, man. And they got to make some adjustments. I'll say that. And their players.
DB, what's going on with your Raptors?
Don't worry, everyone. It's just one game. I said last week that we would bottom one game. This is the game. It'll be fun.
You know what their problem is, Drew? Their best players. It's in LA.
Oh, Kawhi.
Well, at least they're in the playoffs. We haven't had a Spurs mention yet, but at least they're in the playoffs.
But the good thing about that series is it's going to be pretty great because those two coaches are top of the line right there, man. Brad Stevens and Nick Nurse. They're definitely gonna make it a good game. Good fun series to watch for sure. Another one coming up tonight is Utah-Denver. Utah-Denver. What do we got there? Danny took some. What'd you take on that one, Danny?
Yeah, I took the Utah to cover. I mean, Utah is -1.5. That's like asking. I mean,
put the first half, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think I took the. Did I take the under?
Over.
I took the over on the first half.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know. Last Sunday, we talked about how bad Denver's been looking, and then I think the next day I took Utah to cover and Utah to cover with the under or the over, and they both hit, and it was just like, okay, I think I mean, I know it's 3-2, but I don't see Denver forcing a game 7. I just don't.
And Jamal Murray is the freaking man. Spider Mitchell is the freaking man. Are those the best point guards in the bubble right now?
It's Luka.
We take okay. So Luka's gone, right?
Luka's gone.
It's been a better series than I would have thought it would be. I mean, those are not iconic NBA franchises, right? But it's been really back and forth. Some good players to watch.
I still stand by my initial prediction where I said this is going to be the most boring series of the playoffs. It's still the most boring, like, competitive series. I don't know, like, even though it's like those two guys are like lighting it up, I just can't bring myself to like sit there and watch a whole game for whatever reason.
Yeah. I get it. And really because, like, okay, they're going to run into the next round. They're going to run into the Clippers. What are they going to do to the Clippers? Do they have a chance? Yeah.
I don't think so, but I will say that there's Jamal Murray it's kind of his coming out series. He's streaky. He plays really well at certain times and he disappears a lot, but he's playing pretty consistent this series. Yeah. And Jokic hasn't really showed up as much as I thought he would, but
Rio, didn't the Nuggets play the Spurs last year in the first round of the playoffs and knock them out?
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought Murray was like showing himself last year pretty well. And so I think this year just like solidifies it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's where the kind of disappointment comes from, is that they looked pretty promising last year.
The only thing about Denver, man, is that they always seem to lose their best players because they can't ever seem to figure it out in the front office to, like, get the team going. I mean, I know they had the solid teams when Carmelo was the centerpiece, but even then, that fell apart pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that game's coming up. That's going to be nice. We just saw a couple teams leave, but let's talk about the other first round matchup that's still going on, is the Rockets and Thunder. DB, as a Houston native, I know you watched the game yesterday, right? I definitely saw that coming. I didn't think the Thunder would fall into a little crater like they did. But what did you think about the Rockets' performance yesterday?
It's pretty incredible that statistically they're the best defensive team in the bubble so far in the playoffs. I think they were second best in the regular season, the final 8, and then in the playoffs have been the best. So they're an interesting team, super back and forth series. But it seems like with all the series, the cream is starting to rise to the top a little bit. Yeah. I thought beforehand they were probably a better team than OKC, and you're kind of seeing it across the board with the Clippers taking care of, like, all the flash in the pan kind of upsets seem to be falling by the wayside a little bit, and it's setting up for either the second round matchup or for the teams that should be getting there are getting there.
All right.
Yeah, especially with Russ coming back. Russ coming back was huge, and you kind of expect a big surge from the Rockets, and I guess you really don't know what to expect with the Thunder, huh? I mean, they're such a young team. They got Chris Paul. They got Gallinari, but SGA is pretty young, and they got some young pieces. But, I mean, you're also not really expecting much out of the Thunder, huh?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I think they're actually the most boring team in the Western Conference, at least. And, I mean, Eastern Conference, they have some really boring teams with the Magic and Nets. But, they're not the better team. I think they're going to get knocked out tonight. I'm surprised it's already this much of a series. They probably should have lost that game. That first game they won, they probably should have lost that game. But sorry to bring back old memories, Drew, but that late turnover kind of cost them that game. So Houston should have won that game.
The thing also that I was surprised with the game yesterday with Houston and OKC is you got Dort on OKC, right, who averages 6 points a game, and he took 13 shots yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you like? Yeah. I mean, just that's not your game. And so I don't know, maybe he took the whole challenge with Russ, personally, which I'm sure Russ did. I mean, I could see that, it's kind of like that whole thing of even though Russ left on his terms or whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? Well, he kind of pushed himself out, right? I mean, I think he was ready to go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he was ready to go, but at the same time, OKC wasn't going to do anything for him. I think OKC they hit their max with Russ, unfortunately. And it was like, we outgrew each other, and we got to go our separate ways. I know DB knows the feeling.
Yeah, that's happened. Wow. More often than not. It's going to be, it should be, I think, setting up for a pretty good second round series. Lakers are playing a little bit better. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do. What is the ceiling for the small ball Rockets? Be interesting to see.
Yeah, and you still have a series bet on the Rockets, right?
Yeah, I took a Rockets future to win the championship. Actually, the Western Conference. I think I have them plus 950. So
Damn. Yeah, that's a good one, man. Can they? Yes. I don't know if they will, but I mean, I guess that's why they're plus 950, right?
it's not a good endorsement if I bet it. They probably will.
DB's on a little bit of a cold streak. Reyna is a little kind of a one and done guy, but he's a nice couple units up right now. Same thing with Danny. But let's talk about these exiting bubble teams: Magic, Nets, Mavericks, Blazers, Sixers, and Pacers. Out of those teams, which ones do we want to watch next year? Raina, you got one? I know it's not the Sixers for Raina, but who's your team?
They're a mess. Definitely the Mavericks. The Mavericks are lacking an enforcer. I texted you guys about it, but Morris are trying to bully Doc Mitch the whole series. And, the Mavericks didn't really have a guy to go and kind of check Morris. And now it's hard to check Morris. I mean, he's a big guy himself, but you need that guy. And that's what I feel like the Mavericks are going to have to add to their roster, is a guy who's physical, who's willing to do the dirty work. And not so much try to hurt somebody, but, sometimes when someone's pushing your player around, you kind of have to have that one guy come in, be your backup. So I think that the Mavericks are going to look to toughen their team up on the offseason.
You know what I'm calling for in that situation is I'm calling for Luka to be that guy, huh? How about that? How about Luka just turn into the fucking man and be like, no, this is my team, right?
He wasn't backing down. I mean, you can tell this guy isn't scared of any of these guys. And I did like his fire in the playoffs. It was fun to watch.
Right. Yeah. And DB, who do you think out of those teams, which ones are you most excited about? Or do you have any thoughts on what would, make these teams better?
I think the Mavs are definitely going to be exciting. The Luka hype is real, and he's going to be exciting. I think unfortunately in the NBA, it's just so hard to win. You look at a team like Portland, they made the Western Conference Finals last year. This year they had some injuries, so they ended up they probably weren't the 8th seed. They're probably more middle of the pack. Unfortunately with that, you just wonder what their ceiling is with that core. They've got some exciting pieces, but, what can they do different to win? I don't know what it is really. And that's kind of where you get sometimes in the NBA, is that your peak might have been a Western Conference Finals appearance, or your peak might have just been a consistent playoff team. And, you can't get over that hump, but it's a team to me that you just wonder, like, have we seen the best of them?
Yeah, that's true. And I think we could. That's a good point. I think we can all agree that the Magic are just kind of that black sheep, and thanks for coming, but there's no real future ahead for you, right?
Yeah. I don't know that anyone's getting super excited about the Orlando Magic.
Not since 1994, man. 95.
Danny, what do you think? What do you think about the What do you think about the Nets situation with KD and Kyrie coming back, probably going to be healthy, and they have a pretty solid team. They're not terrible. What do you think?
I think they'll do some damage once those guys come back. I do, and I don't think it'll matter who the coach is. I think it's going to be one of those situations where, they're going to win plenty of games in the regular season. They'll get in the playoffs. I think the coaching, will start to show itself a bit in the playoffs, depending on who they get. There's that rumor flying out right now that they're trying to get Popovich over there. Sean Marks is trying to get Pop over there. I don't see that happening. But right now, too, I also have no reason to believe that Kyrie won't find a way to screw this up the way he has the last two situations. And honestly, I don't think KD should back down to Kyrie, because I think it's clear that KD's a much better basketball player than Kyrie as far as level of how elite they are. I mean, Kyrie's elite, but KD's like in another world, I think, with maybe one or two other players. So that's going to be interesting. I do think that the Mavs need to build a defense around Luka. I think once they do that, they'll be a serious contender. The only issue is that with Rick Carlisle running the team, I can't think of many defensive teams he's led. I mean, I guess he was with Indiana in the early 2000s, and they were okay. Terrible. Yeah, they were okay defensively, but I think in the West, the stack that is as it is, you gotta have a defense that can get a stop when you need it.
Right. Yeah.
That Kyrie Irving shot from 2016 seems very far away now. With some failed stops and some injuries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems further away than it actually is.
Yeah, and Kyrie's kind of carved out a weird space for himself too, where he just kind of like, I don't know. He's not the guy, right?
He's a flat earther, man. I mean,
Boston's a much better team without him, honestly. And the way he played in the playoffs last year, if you look at his shooting percentage, it was like 30% or some shit, or 35%.
You kind of forget, I kind of forget that Kyrie played with Boston too. It's like,
that was the worst year they did, and they'll probably make it to they'll probably make it to the Eastern Conference Finals again, and that means that the worst year they had was when Kyrie was healthy. They're better off Kyrie being hurt. So, I do think the Nets are going to be dangerous because I hope that KD can come back, though. That's my big thing. He's that injury is serious. And hopefully he can rebuild and, come back to 90-95% of himself. I would love to see it because, I would like to see what KD can do outside of the Warriors. And him and Kyrie would be really good as 1-2,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, a quick question is, who's going to be the better partner to KD, Russ or Kyrie?
Oh, yeah.
KD isn't the same guy now. He has his championships. I think that helps him be like, I think he was really annoyed with how the dynamic with him and Russ was trying to go for championships. I think there might be a different version.
Yeah.
That's my take, at least.
Yeah, I could see that too. I love Russ Westbrook, but I think he was too alpha for KD. Yeah. KD's a little, I want to say he's soft. I want to say he's soft. He's not.
Oh, he's soft. He had Murr Twitter account, man. Come on.
You got a burner Twitter account, then you're not an alpha, right?
He needed a Steph Curry as his friend. He didn't need a Russ Westbrook as his friend. Let's put it that way.
Right. All those guys, as they get older, maybe not Kyrie, but some of those guys, as they've gotten older, have shown some maturity. I think Russ has been a pretty good teammate in Houston.
Yeah.
And early on in his career, I don't see him and Harden mixing. And, the more recent interviews I've seen with KD when he isn't spending time on his burner, he seems like he's got some perspective and some maturity as well. So,
that's true.
Maybe they're reaching different points of their lives and careers where they're not the same as they were certainly in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. I'm good with that for sure. And one team that I know that Rio absolutely is off board of is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Man.
And your boy Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Give us a take on the Sixers, Raina.
They keep talking about this process, but the process falls apart in the playoffs every time. I hate on Ben Simmons because I just don't like that he's afraid to shoot that three ball. And, I was talking a little bit earlier about Kirk Cousins. Who do I hate more? I don't know. Kirk Cousins checks down 3-yard passes all the damn time, all game, just trying to, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen and is barely crossing the line of scrimmage. Ben Simmons is shooting about 4 feet every shot. So I don't know who I hate more because with the game the way it is, you need to be able to at least test the waters. If he was a bad three-point shooter, I wouldn't blame him. But at least try, man. At least chunk it up a few times. Shit, do it against the freaking Knicks. Who cares?
I think he's so bad that he's just scared to try. He's just scared. He's scared for sure.
That's why he didn't go on my top 10 list. That was the single reason.
And there was all this
as a basketball player.
And there was all this talk too that he was working on a shot when the stoppage was going on before the bubble started, and that he was going to come out and start showing that he's worked on his jump shot and all that stuff. And that's just faded fast. I think it's a confidence issue.
Yeah.
Maybe the Sixers, as part of the process, can bring Rio in because he's pretty good at introducing people to trying new things. So that could be a consulting role that he could do.
And Joel Embiid, I don't like watching him play, man. I feel like he should be dominant. He should put up 30 a night, and he just doesn't look like it. He's not that guy. I don't know.
You know, it feels like Embiid tries to be a weak version of an entertainer, like a weak version of Shaq. You know how Shaq was like an entertainer, but Shaq like got on the floor and he just like dominated. Yeah, and it feels like Embiid tries to be that as an entertainer, and then he gets on the floor and it doesn't even come close to like his off-court antics.
Right.
Embiid is going to be should be the lesson for Zion is don't become Joel Embiid. All the talent in the world, but he's not in shape. He doesn't have the desire to be great.
Right.
So I think Zion should be looking at that guy and thinking, man, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be this ball of fat who can't even run down the court. Because if you hear basketball people talk, Joel Embiid has all the talent in the world. And could be something, but for whatever reason, I don't know if he doesn't love the game enough or if he lacks the maturity, but for whatever reason, he can't put it together to become a real superstar.
Yeah, I would go one step further too. I think they probably should split these guys up. I think they've run this, they've tried this long enough. And I mean, there were 6 Ben Simmons. I know he missed the playoffs, but there were 6 going into the playoffs, and 6 in the East is not very good. I mean, they were healthy all season pretty much. And so I think they should have been top 3 with the talent they have, but it seems like they're just not working, And so, Ben Simmons. Oh, good.
Yeah, there was something ridiculous. They had like 4 losses at home, and they had like 30 total. You know what I mean? It's like there's something off when you're just killing it at home, but you go on the road and you're absolutely awful.
I think the presence of a winning vet in that locker room could go a long way. I don't think there's any maturity there to help. You know what I mean? You don't need a vet to come in and like be the guy on the floor, but someone who can come and teach these young guys about what it takes to get to that next level. Because I don't see that anywhere in the locker room.
They tried that with Al Horford, but I mean, it's Al Horford.
Yeah.
They should sign J.R. Smith if the Lakers
so he can take him to the promised land.
Or at least teach him how to look cool without a shirt on.
Yeah, exactly. And the Lakers, in that sense, they play him on the garbage time, and he'll knock down a couple. And I'm glad the Lakers are back on track, it seems like, although it looks like the Blazers just fell apart because – they've been playing the playoffs since the restart, right? But the Lakers don't look terrible. 35-35 from AD and LeBron. That's they're not going to lose like that.
Do you guys think that Portland re-signs Carmelo?
Probably.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Why? Okay, so it's not why not on the Portland side. It's why not on Melo's side. Why are you going to go somewhere else? Like everybody's back in love with you. Everybody's loving you again, and they're seeing you do well. Just write it out.
So
he might not win a ring, but write it out.
Does he do it for that minimum paycheck? I mean, he's worth more than $1.5 million a season.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think he just proved that, right? So he's not going to sign for the minimum again.
There's a lot of bad basketball players, or not bad basketball players, but there's a lot of people below Carmelo Anthony in the league. Sorry, the reference point is Carmelo Anthony. Obviously, everyone can hoop in the NBA.
Right.
There are a lot of bad contracts.
There's a lot worse. There's a lot of people worse than Carmelo.
Yeah. No. I agree. I'm just saying, does he? Let's see if he's matured and is like, you know what? I'll take less money because I'm in a good situation, or I'm out. I want to go be the guy. So,
but who dropped the ball on that Melo situation is the damn Lakers. Like Melo on the Lakers right now, the Lakers would be the favorite, easy. Like they would win. And they dropped the ball on that. I don't know why or how or what happened, but and and he's done great in Portland, and it's good to see that happen for sure. I was a Melo guy. I like Melo.
Yeah. I was rooting for him with the Knicks just because the Knicks have been so terrible for so long.
They had the Zen Master. I thought Phil was going to turn that place around, but nobody could turn that place around.
That stint, he just proved that he's just not as good as a coach as Pop.
The Knicks are kind of like,
hey, he was the president, not the coach. Just a heads up.
Tomato, man.
Most of my relationships in my 20s, once they got going down a certain path, they just were fucked. So.
And the Mets, I don't know what it is about New York. I think the Yankees are probably the only good ran organization in there, but the Mets are freaking awful. I don't know if y'all are keeping up with baseball and the kind of implosion they had, and they're on a downward spiral. And baseball, by the way, it's just absolutely absent, DB. I know me and you are the good baseball fans here. What do you think about that, it being so overshadowed?
Yeah, I would definitely say in the last 5-6 years, I'm a bigger baseball fan than NBA fan. I've been excited about the bubble and playoff basketball. Just having a hard time getting into baseball, these double headers, and it's baseball has a tough go because even in a 60-game season, you're having that midseason lull where it's hard to focus day in and day out.
Well, what do you compare the baseball atmosphere to the NBA atmosphere? Like the NBA atmosphere seems like it's lively and the game is fun, but I just
the stadium looks so weird, empty with these stupid cardboard things. Whereas the NBA doesn't really feel any different from a viewing perspective. I mean, of course, you don't see like
you don't see the empty seats.
It's just it feels. And then obviously being the playoffs, it just feels more important. Baseball just feels like this kind of it's almost like a 747 that's just been sent out to it's running its last few flights and then they got to retire it. I don't know. I think this could have been a year for some change-ups to make it a little more exciting, and I'm just having trouble getting into it.
Yeah, and I love baseball too, but I think anything with it's not incredibly fast-paced. Even a 60 games is short for baseball, and basketball is only 20 more games, and that's their long season. You know what I mean? And I think the length of the season was supposed to energize it a little bit, but you're still going to find the lulls. And we're in the dog days right now at like game 40. I don't know what game they're at right now, but we're in the dog days right now where it'll lull, but then it'll ramp back up once the playoffs start.
Right.
Yeah, I think they missed that golden opportunity to start a month before basketball did. Had they done that, that would have been huge for the sport. But they're competing again with basketball, and then the playoffs, and then in 2 weeks it's the NFL, and so it's just going to be one of those. I think. All right, well, it's the second round of the Major League Baseball playoffs. I guess we should start paying attention.
Right. Yeah.
For the casual fan, at least.
Yeah, absolutely, and now they're going to be competing with, playoff basketball, and the NFL's kicking back up, and it's crazy to think that it's 2 weeks away, but here we are, freaking the 1st of September, beginning of September, and we got fantasy drafts coming up, and we got, it's back to normal. What are we thinking, Raina, as far as the NFL season coming up?
Oh yeah, I mean it's sneaking up on us. We haven't heard a lot about plans and execution. That is whatever.
Right.
The NFL is one of those leagues. I think they're just going to try to wing it, and wing it means see how many games they can have before something massively falls apart. But everyone's excited about the NFL. I think the NFL. I mean, it's the most popular sport in the country. I mean, and fantasy football, it carries the NFL. It gives a lot of people a reason to watch games we would never watch. Like I was watching the Cleveland Browns a lot last year because of fucking Odell, but nothing. Anyways, but I think everyone's excited for it.
Hey, and can you remember that this time last year, who was the favorite to win the AFC North? the Cleveland fucking Browns were the favorite to win the NFC North. Can you believe that? That's crazy.
Yeah, the whole season, the whole fucking season, even when you're watching other games, was those stupid progressive ads with Baker Mayfield and his wife.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was after they were like completely irrelevant, but I guess they must have filmed all of it before the season. They rolled out like the first one. You're like, you guys got to can it. They stink. And then like they clearly were all so you'd be watching like a meaningful game on a Sunday night, and you got dumbass Baker being like, "Hey, baby, I'll go make some popcorn in the bowels of the stadium for you." It's sheesh. But who knows? Maybe they have a bounce back this year.
Maybe.
They couldn't possibly be that fucking bad. Odell, Baker, Myles Garrett hitting people over the head. They have a decent team.
Do you guys think that the NFL is better at handling like the media than the NBA as a league? And I
only in the sense that they're just like, all right, whatever, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah. And I only ask that because they seem to be giving the least amount of information about what their protocol is.
Yeah,
but they also don't seem to be getting criticized.
The NFL has never really cared what anybody thinks. Like concussions, oh yeah, we're gonna put a protocol in, but you know what? It is what it is. People are gonna get fucking hit in the head. You know what I mean?
One thing that's different about the NFL versus like basketball, when you talk about stopping games, and even baseball, is the players' careers are significantly shorter. The average career in football, and then their average pay. Of course, these guys make good money. But if you're talking about a 3-year window and you're on a minimum contract, like it's really not. So there's just a lot more incentive for them to play the season.
No guaranteed contract too.
Yeah. I just think like it's so different. And then the NFL clearly doesn't take stances like these other leagues do. I mean, the NBA on the top of the court says Black Lives Matter. The NFL, you just wouldn't see that. I mean, sometimes their silence is deafening and it speaks a lot, but the reality is they just don't wade into that pool too much.
There's a rumor saying that they got a big first week of plans in regards to those topics. So we'll see what they do. But I mean, at the same time, too, does anybody even believe it? Like
I was gonna say that's just to meet quota, right? They're just there. We're gonna show face a little bit and then go back to bashing skulls.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, let's check the box. Yeah, we did something. Okay, good. Like let's go ahead and move on. Like, I mean, it's just it's an act to me.
Yeah, the NFL, it's culture. I mean, football's culture, not just the NFL. It's a lot tougher, compared to basketball. And those guys typically, like you don't have people doing load management and shit like that.
Because if they did, the next man will come get it.
Yeah.
Like that's the ultimate next man up sport is football, right? Like, you can't do it. I got somebody who can, right?
I think a perfect example of that is when an NFL player gets injured, you'll kind of see them like walk towards the tunnel, maybe on camera, but that's about it. But when an NBA player gets injured, if it's a star, I mean, they follow them through the tunnel all the way to the front door, like of the locker room.
Waiting out there for him. Yeah. What did the X-rays say? What are we doing?
Yeah. And the NFL, you just have Aaron Andrews on the sideline. Troy, he's not coming back.
Arguably the greatest player of all time was a next man up story. Mr. Thomas Brady.
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe was a number 1 pick. He was a Pro Bowler in New England.
He was.
Brady comes in and he just replaces him and goes on down.
After a concussion. No wonder people don't want to report their concussions. Their career might end. Shit. You know what I mean? And
COVID's the least of their problems, honestly. It really is. COVID is the least of the NFL players' problems. They have so many other problems, like getting injected at halftime or some shit just so they can go back out and, get those shots that make them invisible for at least half of a football game.
Fuck.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it is what it is. And football will go on, right? Like we all, like the season's not going to get canceled. Like I sent a text to the fantasy fantasy chat today. It was like, hey, season gets canceled, everybody gets their money back, right? But they're not going to cancel the season. You guys agree with that?
I don't think so. They're pushing through.
They'll play it.
Have to, right?
Yeah.
There might be a couple games that get canceled, and maybe like they'll have to figure out. Maybe we get like Saturday games and stuff like that, right? But I don't know. I don't really.
I think the biggest problem for the NFL is going to be, in their eyes, how do we get fans here?
Yeah.
Because to me, they just seem to be like, we're going to have fans. Like, they're just like hell-bent on it. And I just don't see that happening. But
it's going to vary state to state for sure. Because this is one of the first things that really has like hit where not everybody statewide is on the same page. It'll be interesting because I know Dallas is allowing fans. I'm sure Houston too, but I would have to think California or New York, no chance.
Would y'all go to a game? Would y'all go to a game?
No.
No? DB?
I wouldn't.
I would, but I know I make a lot of jokes, but my situation's a little bit different from like someone like Danny, who's a dad and lives at home with other people. Like, it's just me, and I would go to a game for sure. I actually have Houston and the Bears circled on my calendar, December 13th. I'd love to go up there for that game. Just freeze and drink 1 zillion Miller Lights. Sounds like it'd be an amazing day. But yeah, I would go to a game. But I think I wouldn't begrudge anyone who would say I don't feel comfortable going, because I think you just have to assess it for what makes sense for you and the other people you have to take care of.
Raina, would you?
Yeah, I'm probably on Drew's boat, and then I would probably come in quarantine for 2 weeks. I wouldn't be around my parents or anybody. I'll try to quarantine, just out of, I don't really fear the disease virus myself, right. But I wouldn't want to pass it to somebody, and who shouldn't get it.
Right. Yeah. I would tread lightly. I would be apprehensive about it. I definitely wouldn't be at the first game. I'll say that. I'd be at maybe week 6, week 8 and see how everything's been going. And then I'll go. I'm not going to be the first one to do it, to try.
I think the hardest thing for me would be like, you sit in a game and you have people around you, and you like for those 3 hours, you guys become friends. And, you start talking the game, you start like cheering on certain plays. And it's just like that to be thinking about how you can't do that would be hard for me, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You don't want to like get too close to somebody. You don't want to high five. It's like, that's the whole fun of the game.
Yeah.
I would say I would go to a game, but I doubt I go to a game. That's a different comment. Like I probably am not going to make plans to go to one, but I would go to one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of different comment.
Yeah. I mean, you just love to see that football's coming back, but you also think about the college realm, right? And you have like half the country coming back and the other half, like schedules are being adjusted here and there. Raina, what are you thinking about the Big Ten? If you're a Big Ten commish, Pac-12 commish, how do you feel about your decision right now of canceling games?
I know damn well they're regretting it, for sure. I know they are. They probably made the right decision, but at the same time, they probably thought everybody was going to make the same decision. And now that some teams or some conferences are just going to say, fuck it, we're going out there, it's going to hurt them a lot. It is recruitability and, prestige. They take a step backwards this year, and the SEC takes a step forward, I think. So they're going to regret it, I think, midseason, especially if the season goes perfectly normal, or at least to a certain extent normal.
Yeah.
They're thinking about it right now.
And DB, I know you're an SEC guy. How would you, if you're coming out of college and you see the Big Ten and Pac-12, that's one option, but then you see what's going on with Big 12, SEC. How does that affect your decision to maybe commit somewhere?
Yeah, it's for sure. It's going to affect their recruiting, and at the risk of sounding like Clay Travis, it's I think clearly the Big Ten's decision not to play was a political deal to some degree, because if you look, the commissioner of the league has a son who's at Mississippi State, and his son's going to play football this fall. So, I don't know. It's a mess. The problem is with college football is, same deal as why it was so hard for them to put together a playoff in the first place. There's just so many teams that represent such different geographic parts of the country and ways of thinking that coming to consensus agreement is impossible. It's like telling the country to come to a consensus agreement. And that played out in the conferences that chose to come back and the ones that didn't. But yeah, for sure, if you were a player and you're thinking about going and you're going to say, hey, if I go to Ohio State, am I going to miss out on a chance to showcase my talents to make it to the NFL?
Yeah.
The premier programs will always get good guys, but the fringe programs, I would think you will see recruits want to go to certain conferences based on this.
And the one issue I have here is where's the leadership in the NCAA? They're so quick to be the leaders on players don't get paid for their for their work. But when it's time for a pandemic, you don't hear shit out of the NCAA.
Yeah, because
it's like, okay, no, whatever you guys want to do. Like, what's the issue there? Like, okay, how about paying the players? No, can't do that. But send them out there to have them, potentially risk getting sick. Like,
they pick and choose who they push around. Let's put it that way.
Right.
That's very true, because you have UNC, who's in the ACC, who just like 10 days ago canceled all in-person classes.
Right.
And they're only doing online classes, but they're still going to play football. It's but they're doing it for the student athlete. That's what it's for. It's for the student athlete.
Yeah.
This is an aside, but I'm curious what you guys would think. Would you send your kid to college right now if you had a kid, and you had to pay normal price? Would you send them this fall?
I wouldn't.
Man, I mean, the hypothetical kid. I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, even a kid in elementary or high school, it's like you're still putting them at risk. But when you're putting thousands of dollars on the line there, it's like, I don't know. I don't even know the answer. Maybe Danny has a better answer because he actually is the father here. What do you got, Dan?
If it was college, man, I probably I guess it depends on the protocol of the school, man. Like, honestly, because at the same time, it's like, I don't want, the kid just to be hanging out doing nothing. So if they can still like get credits up, rep and do it like safely. Yeah, man, I say, keep moving forward, because trust me, from my own experience, that one semester break turns into a few years break, and then it's and then it gets harder to go back. So that's one. I think for the sake of just continuity, I'd probably say yes.
Yeah, that's true. And it's there's definitely conversations being had from parents of kids of all ages right now. You know what I mean? I know, Danny, you're feeling it at the high school level. Just the uncertainty of even a public school, is designed to get your kid educated. You know what I mean? Like something as simple as that. Kids, it's not simple anymore.
Yeah, it's there's just red tape everywhere. And so I think that's what makes this whole college football thing, because at the end of the day, like the NFL only has to worry about football. Like college football still has to worry about college.
Yeah.
So
it's overgrown. The NCAA and how much money they're trying to make off this amateur league. It's a nonprofit organization. If y'all don't know, if anybody follows it, but they still. So most of the coaches are public employees. They're paid under the state budget. So they're the highest paid state employee. When you look at how it's been done, it's like this. It's capitalism meets let's not pay taxes meets let's take advantage of young kids meets let's I don't know. So I think that there needs to be a deeper look at what the NCAA's objectives are after this, because it's obvious getting those TV contracts is front on the list, And let's
Right.
open up the capitalistic rules and let these players make all their damn money then, you know? They got their hand forced, really.
Right. And it's I mean, we're in a different world, and we're constantly adjusting, trying to figure out what's right, and hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. But obviously that's just a perfect world, and that's likely not to happen. We got Utah Denver about to tip off here. I know we got a few bets here. It's gonna be a good one. Hopefully it goes 7. I think it might. I don't know. That'd be a fun game to watch if it goes 7. We
That's
got
fine.
baseball still in the lull of their dog days. NFL's about to kick up. So all in all, man, COVID or not, we're trying. We're trying. What do you guys think? You guys, we saw some disrupted play over the last week, which was a little annoying. We understand why, but it's the continuity is just it's as a gambler. Speaking as a gambler, continuity is important.
You got to stay.
Social justice issues though too. DB,
When you're winning bets, you got to stay in a rhythm. I think that the disruption threw off my rhythm this week, and got to get back to square one.
Damn right. All right, so a lot of stuff going on. We're coming back at you with more content coming up this week. Fantasy football coming soon. We're mulling over a fantasy football league. Sounds from the Crowd edition. We'll get back to you on that. It should happen in the next week or so. But for the boys, Danny, DB, Reyna, it was a good week. Get off to another good week, and have a good one.
See ya.
See you guys.